Clark Kent, the Man of Tomorrow, the original superhero that we know today. The Superman, the best of us, who stands for truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. But what if that wasn't the case? What if he was the worst of us? An enslaver, a murderer, or a bloodthirsty tyrant? Well, that would be the life of Clark, if instead of landing on Earth and living a life full of heroism, hope, and love, he landed on Apokolips, home planet to the tyrant Darkseid. It all started when other forces at play decided to pluck Kal from his destination of Earth for a far more sinister future for him. After crash landing on Apokolips, he is found by two poor slaves who see this miraculous child as an answer to their prayers, so they can sell him and move up from their sad low lives. But just as quick as that thought came, the immediate evisceration from Darkseid's Omega beams came faster. It was then revealed that it was the new god Metro of New Genesis, working in tandem with the ruler of Apokolips, in hopes of creating and raising a being that the universe will come to know and fear. Now fast forwarding many years later, we see Darkseid finally getting ready to reveal and unleash a fully grown Superman. After explaining to Clark the origin and everlasting war between Apokolips and New Genesis that was so equal that no side had any advantage over the other, Darkseid says he intends for Clark to be that deciding factor for their victory. His first mission after being brought out of the shadows is to face and kill Kalibak, Darkseid's own flesh and blood son, in which he is successful, especially now that he is decked out in armor, bathed in the hell pits of Apokolips, specifically made to power him up. After that, he proves himself worthy as Darkseid's new warrior, and is tasked with bringing a bomb full of Omega energy into New Genesis during a surprise attack Darkseid planned, in order to blow up and finally take out their long-appointed enemies. Now, as the Omega wave is taking its toll in destroying the planet, Kal goes to find the other new gods to slay. But Highfather has already sent Orion and the other new gods away, as their destiny lies elsewhere. And as Superman goes to confront Highfather, he touches his staff and it sends him to the Source Wall, where it shows Kal a prophecy and his past origin of Krypton. After his time at the Source Wall learning, it propels him across space and time and sends him to Earth, where his destiny lies, crashing down into a lake of Metropolis, now weakened, and his special armor is useless. But he is saved by Lois Lane as she fishes him out of the harbor. After being saved, she leaves, but Clark still follows her anyway, and saves her from a couple of gangsters she was getting a scoop on. But as the Metropolis police arrive from a tip, he engages in a little battle with the police and is subdued as he is still weakened. But after the truck crashes from the Parademon army who found Clark and the rest of the new gods here on Earth, he takes this opportunity to make his escape. And as he's making his way through the streets, he sees one of the new gods that he thought he killed. And just then, all of the memories and deeds from his recent past start kicking in, and he goes on a little mini rampage, flipping cars, destroying property, until an old man and a little kid steps in to try and talk the stranger out of it. And here he sits and tries to talk with Clark to calm him down, about his past, about them being soldiers of war, among other things. But meanwhile with Darkseid, we see him finally using the Kryptonian technology from Clark's ship and confronting Metron, the new god, about it. And apparently he's been withholding information that the Kryptonians found the anti-life equation, and because of his transgression against Darkseid, he kills Metron on the spot. Meanwhile, back with Clark, we see him and the old man still enjoying some food, probably the first good thing he has ever had in his life, until some man comes up to him saying it sounds like a war is going on. So they get up and rush to the building, which is on fire and blowing up, but it still has civilians inside. So as Clark rushes in the building, he sees that it's a new god and parademons fighting, and he barely misses it in time as a parademon strikes down the new god. Then Clark with his bare hand kills the parademon, and as he stands over the new god's body, he says it feels like his mother box is speaking to him. So Clark picks it up and takes it with him. But seeing as there's still an old lady inside the burning building, Clark grabs her and hops out the window, landing her into safety, marking his first heroic act. I mean, unless you count him saving Lois Lane earlier. And speaking of Lois Lane, she's here too, and as she spots Clark, she pulls him aside to finally talk about all the stuff that has happened today and him saving her earlier. So Clark takes this time to finally explain his history with Apokolips, Darkseid, and the new gods. But as they're talking, they come to the realization that they need the new gods' help if they want any chance of stopping Darkseid. So using the new mother box he just acquired, he activates it and opens a portal to send both of him and Lois Lane there to the rest of the new gods. But they unfortunately arrive inside of the thick of it in a battle between the new gods and some of the forces of Apokolips. But Orion there says even without Clark's armor, he still recognizes his voice, and he snaps and rages out into like a kind of weird Darkseid mode As if you didn't know, Orion is the biological son of Darkseid. But as Orion tries to hit a killing shot on Clark, the mother box jumps up and protects him. After that, it forms the iconic shield symbol on his chest. And the New Gods, now seeing how the mother box chose to protect Clark, realize that maybe there's something more going on that they don't know. So they decide to have a momentary truce, talk and hear each other out. But now, Superman realizing that to stop Darkseid, they need all the help and equipment they can get. So after going back to the lake he crashed in to go and get his armor, he is ambushed by Lex Luthor's forces, who had apocalyptic tech infused with their own, so they were even stronger than normal to put up a decent fight against Superman. But even then it wasn't enough for the Man of Steel. So instead of fighting him head on, they made a trap for him and blindsided him into a boom tube. Then the other side was a trap made specifically to hold him. But just as Lex is celebrating his victory there, Darkseid boom tubes in, wanting to collect the Son of Krypton. But Lex Luthor, ever scheming, ever trying to think 10 steps ahead, goes to introduce and meet Darkseid. But Darkseid, not needing any puny human, uses his Omega Beam to teleport him to Granny Goodness for torture. So as Darkseid retrieves Superman, he finds out that the anti-life equation is inside of his very body, somewhere in his DNA. As the Kryptonians in this universe plan for Clark to land on Earth and to rebuild the Kryptonian Empire, using the anti-life equation to make the species docile. And after a little while, Darkseid finally cracks the code and finds the anti-life equation, marking a new age of Darkseid. And with that little cliffhanger, we bring the first part to a close. Now I hope you enjoyed it and aren't too upset that it's on a little cliffhanger just as Darkseid finally gets his ultimate prize. But I want to get the last issue, conclusion to the story, its own full part that I can go more in depth with. Hope you enjoyed watching and thank you.